don't back down. And when you come and realize that this is our life, you're like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for this, but I have to go through this and I have to succeed. And then that's when you realize, okay, but I was. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Hephzibah. If you're new here, I'm Hephzibah. I film about life as an international student in the United States. But I'm sure some of the things I share will be applicable to like other developed countries. So if you're new, do not forget to give this a thumbs up. If you like the video, subscribe. See that red button on your screen? Yeah, use it, and it's for free 99. So just subscribe and share, you know, talk to people about this so that, you know, they can find their big sister who is here. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into what I'm about to talk about today. So yeah, today is going to be not a mini rant, it's just me stating some things about being an international student that I don't know, I hope people can relate to. I'm sure there will be people that can relate to, but if you can relate to it, leave in the comment section. And yeah, so let's go right into it. This video is for everybody. For those back home that will be giving us side eye and sort of judging us because of the change they have noticed, and then for those of us that move and are going through, you know, various emotions and going through this change and not understanding what's going on, this video is just for everybody, honestly, just to create an awareness. Okay, so I'll dive right into it. So the reason I'm putting this video out is because I remember when I moved to the States, I sort of lost contact with so many people back home. Like, I wasn't always reaching out to people. And then, you know, in college, you know, some of my friends from back home would reach out to me, and you know, it would take a while for me to respond and stuff like that. And I'm sure that, you know, they were, I mean, some of them actually told me, because, you know, my friends rock like that. And they're like, Hephzibah, why is it that you don't really respond to us? Is it, I don't know, like, what's going on with you? Have you now moved on to become a big girl and stuff like that? And in my head, I was just like, I really wish these people would understand that being a big girl or earning that title is not even number 10 on my priority list. It's not even among the top 20 on my priority list. Like, there's just much more happening. Like, there's more going on than, you know, just being very playful and being very carefree and always reaching out to everybody. So today I'm just going to be sharing 10 things that your friend in another country may be going through, 10 things that you may be going through as someone who has relocated. And, you know, it's okay for all of those things to happen, so long as you work on your faith with God and you draw closer to God and you reach out to the people that matter to you. Like, that's fine. So let's go right into the video. Number one thing that definitely happens is culture shock. And I'm going to make another video explaining sharing my story and my experience with culture shock. But basically, living in Nigeria, where I was surrounded by Christians and, you know, just a genuine community, and coming to the US was a huge change for me, because there were just you discover that in most developed countries there's like a lot to choose from. There's a lot going on. There are so many things happening at the same time. So of course, moving from a Christian community to a community that was sort of like civilized. I mean, I eventually found a Christian community, but that's a story for another day. But just the culture shock, the way of life, the way they greet. Like, back home, if people say hello, then or how are you doing, they really mean like, how are you doing? But here, if people say how are you doing, it's just they expect you to say good and go about, you know, your duties. So their how are you doing is not to really check up on you, it's just a way to say hi or hello, and you're supposed to just reply good. So that culture shock sort of hits you a different way, And you know, well, for me it hit me a different way, and I was just like, what's going on, you know, like what like how can I fit into this environment? Number two with moving is you realize that these developed countries are so fast paced. So in Nigeria everybody's chilled, okay? I mean, I come from Abuja and everyone is chill. Nobody can come and like, kill themselves. Like people do normally get like easy money and stuff like that, like very calm. And then you come here where you have to work for every 1 cent. If they give you a job, you have to work for it. If they're giving you a scholarship, you have to work for it. If you're in college, you have to work for your grades. Like you have to work for everything. And it's so fast paced, like everybody's finishing everything in 30 minutes, and you're here trying to be thorough, trying to be detailed, and trying to assimilate what they're saying, but they've moved past you, so you're trying to catch up in a very fast paced environment. Of course, you don't have much time to really be checking off on the 1,500 people that you left back in Nigeria, just because you're trying to catch up and you're trying to, you know, do well in school. So that's the second one. Or even at work sometimes they give you deadlines and you're like, woo wait, what do you mean? And you have to be working fast to adjust to that system, to adjust to make money so that you don't sleep under a bridge, basically. So you know, those things are the things that we're mostly thinking about, that people don't really consider, because they're like, you've gone, no, you're no longer on my level. But that's not what you're thinking. You see yourself as a normal person. Well, I used to see myself as, yeah, it's Hephzibah, but you know, there are just things that were happening in time that I had to focus on. The third one, which is very big, and like I said, I'm going to make videos explaining really my experiences, but the third one, homesickness. That one is huge. Listen guys, when I found out that I was coming to the US and people were like, oh, you know, are you sure you would not miss your family? I was like, I miss them for what? I've seen them now, like, and if I miss them so much, I can easily come back. Because I don't know if I thought I was going to Ghana, but if I was traveling to Kogi State, because I was just like, I can easily come back. And we're like, oh, okay. And you know, people were sharing their stories with me and I was busy cracking up. So I'm going to share my story too in you know, upcoming videos. But when people were sharing their stories, I was like, it can never be me. I was really forming I've been listening to Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion Savage. I was really forming a bad beat. And you know, when I left, I was good until I came to school. Modaro, it hit me. I was like, hey, what's all this? I was really homesick. And so any free time I had and any little time I had, you know, putting into consideration the time difference, I'll always just call home. And by the time you're done talking to your family members, you really do not have time to start talking to other people that also matter to you, because you need to get back to work. So homesickness is a huge one. Number 4, we need to talk about the loneliness and the isolation you feel like when you leave, because you're leaving your community, right? And then you come to a new place, you're trying to find another community, because it's very important to have a community in a different country, and like wherever you go to, you have to build your community. So in the process of doing all of that and finding people that can resonate with you, you realize that you're isolated and you're lonely, and it's sort of sad. So you're kind of processing the feeling, processing what's going on, and trying to find a solution to like reach out to people to keep in touch. And so yeah, like again, like I said, when you know what you're searching for, it's not every conversation that you're going to entertain, and it's not everybody that you're going to reach out to and be talking to every minute, because you're out here trying to create your own community as well, and trying not to feel so detached from so many things that it's very easy for those back home to misinterpret it and be like, oh yeah, you've changed, but in all honesty, just like you're trying to survive, right? And then you're also dealing with people you're also dealing with people not being able to understand you or relate to your struggle, because you have a different culture, you have a different background. And so when you come to a new place, you see people trying to talk to you, but they don't understand where you're coming from or your struggle, which is okay. Not everybody will understand everybody, but you're now dealing with that. You're trying to sift through to see the people that you're going to let in your inner circle, you're going to let in your community, and the people that you're just going to say hi. And that sort of makes you a little bit closed off, because you're trying to really build that community. And yeah, while dealing with other things like school, work and stuff in the US, that you really don't have all the time in the world to continue with relationships. Not that you can't reach out, but it will be limited, and that's okay. Number 5, I think this video is sort of getting long, so I'm going to make it part 1 and part 2. Number 5, can we take a minute to talk about the financial struggle? Oh my days, the worst, the financial stress that you face as an international student. Ooh, like, well, not all international students, but some international students, and even some immigrants in this country, some people that have moved, just the struggle. Because like I said, you have to work for every dime, every cent, every dollar, every money you earn, you have to work for it. And then if you're in school, you have to work for your grade. For every A+ you're getting, you have to work for it. For every job you get on campus, you have to work. Like, there's no easy way out. So, and you're also paying your tuition and stuff like that. So just the struggle, it's something that we have to really talk about. Like, it's ongoing. It's going to be recurring, like a recurring message, because it is a lot, and you're just going through all of that, and it's just like, God, when will this end? But you're going through it, and you have to find a way to, you know, solve that problem. You have to find a solution. So you have to find a way to survive, basically, so you will not be kicked out of your house or your school, of the country, right? 6, which is big, which is huge, which is a lot, is facing rejection. So when I say facing rejection, like, if you're in school, you apply for internships, rejection. If you're applying for a grant, sometimes you even be applying for something that you're like, oh, this is cool, I should try it. And then you see at the bottom left corner in fine, very small, tiny fine print, maybe the fonts might be 9 times New Roman or something like that. It'll be like, you must be a citizen or a permanent resident. That can break your heart. And at some point, you're just like, if you're calling people, you have to just call people that, you know, sort of understand your struggle, not people that will be saying, you're in abroad, you're here chilling, you're here enjoying. Like, sometimes it just makes you cringe a little bit, because you're like, you don't even understand some of the struggles. I know you're struggling back home, but here does not mean that it's a one-way ticket to heaven. Like, there are some things that we're still facing. The rejections, when they're like, oh, we're so sorry, but you know, you don't qualify because you're not a citizen or a permanent resident, but you know that if they give you the opportunity, you're going to kill it, but you can't get there. So dealing with that constantly just sort of, it makes you rewire your brain differently. It makes you prioritize your time. It makes you a little bit tough, that there'll be some conversations that you're like, not today. And then there'll be some things that you're like, I'm trying to get this so that I can get what I want. Like, you're just always busy, because you have to carve your way around those rejections. You have to sometimes break through the door. You have to knock and open, bind and cast, demoralize and demolish some things, just so that, you know, those rejections that you're facing, you'll be able to succeed and like move forward. Number 7 with being a foreigner is not being qualified for so many things. Like, there are so many opportunities that, you know, they'll be like, you have to be a citizen, you have to be a permanent resident, you have to have stayed here for XYZ number of years, you have to have come in through this way, and you're just like, oh wow, okay, I'll wait, I'll pass, I'll try again, I'll do something else. And it's just your life daily. It's something you're dealing with, something you're focusing on, and you're trying to think of solutions to go about you know, maneuvering that situation so that you can get what you want or get something similar, because, you know, we don't back down. And when you come and realize that this is our life, you're like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for this, but I have to go through this and I have to succeed. And then that's when you realize, okay, but I was built for it. I may not have seen this coming, but I was built for it, and I'm going to survive. And that's usually what happens to most people. To some people, that was what happened to me. Again, like I said, I'm sharing my journey, my experiences, so feel free to add more or share if your story was a little bit different. 8, and another thing that happens to you know, foreigners, immigrants, internationals, basically people of color, is you find that you have to work, or an international basically, you have to work twice as hard to get something that somebody can just wake up in their sleep and get. So here's, I'll explain. Sometimes for you to qualify for an internship, you may see on the website, oh, to qualify you have to have a 3.0, you have to minimum of a 3.0 anyways, you have to have a minimum of a 3.0, you have to do this, do that, and you may have like 3.6 that is higher than 3.0 and all those things, and then you apply but you don't get it, and then somebody else would apply with maybe a lower GPA and maybe lesser qualifications and they get in. Another thing that can happen is, maybe if for instance, I'll use the medical field, if you want to shadow in a hospital, you may go through all these processes of filling out documents, going for this, calling people, doing that, and then someone else can just be like, oh, I have a family doctor, I call my family doctor and say I want to shadow, and they let you in. But you being a foreigner, you don't have a family doctor in the US right? And the only doctor you probably have is the one that's in the clinic, and that may not count towards shadowing. So you're just like, what in the world? And sometimes, to be honest, sometimes it's just the system. It's been built, I'll say the system has been built to help its citizens, which makes sense. And for you to get benefits from that, you have to like prove your worth. So you find that you're working 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard as just the person that, you know, was born and raised here and does not look like you. And then you're like, I don't know if these people sometimes know that they have it somewhat easy. I don't know. I remember one time I was applying to schools and they're like, oh yeah, you know, chances of being denied, if you're not, like, you may have a higher chance of being denied if you're not from the US. And I was like, that's interesting. And someone that wasn't aware of that, because of course that's not her struggle, that's not her business, she was like, oh, that doesn't sound like the United States, like if you're qualified you can apply. And I was like, you think, you see what? I wish it was that easy. Sometimes just not being a citizen or not being a permanent resident or not being from a country can really limit your chances. But listen, if you've got Jesus, hey, you'll be waxing strong. I mean, you'll still face challenges, but you'll still be moving forward without people understanding the grace and the oil on top of your life. Okay, number 9, why it may seem like, which also sort of ties back to my last point, why it may seem like people who have relocated are slightly different, you know, they have changed ish, is they are faced with some microaggressions, you know, like they are faced with, for instance, maybe at the place of work, people may look at you and be like, and maybe assume, okay, that you're not so qualified because you have an accent that doesn't sound American, or because you're a Nigerian and they've seen that Nigeria is a third world country, so they're like, oh yeah, she's from here. And so you see that you're facing microaggressions. You have to sometimes butt head with people just so that they can listen to you. You have to sometimes like study over and over again and repeat information, make sure you understand, so that when you're talking to people, you're talking with like so much confidence in your research work. Like you realize that you've had to toughen up so much to face the microaggression and like just let people know that they will not talk you down because of where you're from. So in that process of dealing with all the microaggressions, of dealing with, you know, working twice as hard to prove yourself, you realize that there are some things that you just cannot relate to anymore. And like again, you'll be busy, you may not be able to relate to some things, and then your friends back home may now still assume, oh yeah, she has changed because she thinks she's not on our level. But your day-to-day life, your new reality is quite different from theirs. So dealing with microaggression can definitely make anybody change, because again, you realize that you have to keep your sanity, you have to prioritize your mental health, you have to be sane, and you have to, you know, work on your relationship with God, because at the end of the day you realize that it's just you and God, honestly, and so you have to be depending on Him to use you, as well as Him helping you out. Number 10 is when most people travel, they are faced with so much they're faced with so many challenges that sometimes they even realize that, you know, they start thinking of suicide, or they start feeling like they're slightly depressed, or they start dealing with, let me not just say it's depression, but like some sort of deep sadness that you don't even know where it's coming from. But then you, like, some people, that's when some people start working on their Christian faith, because they realize like they have to hold on to God, you have to hold on to something, you have to believe in something, you have to believe in someone, and usually it's God. I would say you have to hold on to God, you have to believe in God's promises, you have to read the Bible for yourself, you have to pray, you have to see, like, you realize that you're not fighting against flesh and blood, like, oh, you're fighting against principalities and powers, because sometimes some of the rules that you hear when you're trying to move up the ladder, when you're trying to chase that American dream, when you're trying to work for something, some of the things that happen to you, you'll be like, hey, no, my ancestors have found me. Like, this is principalities and powers in action. This is not just normal. Like, you really have to build your faith with God. So yes, those are the 10 things that may have happened to someone that you may think has changed, and I'm just putting it out there so that people will be considerate before they make assumptions and say things like, oh, you've become a big girl and you've forgotten me. Listen, nobody has time to be claiming big girl or big boy, because it's not big girl that will pay your bills, it's not big girl that will put you in the next level, it's not being a big girl that will help you fulfill purpose or help you achieve something in life. Like, people are chasing things, so they're just going through a lot, they're going through, you know, systemic microaggressions, and you know, they just have to focus on other things. So it's just life. So yes, those are some of the things I decided to share with you, and I hope you found them useful. I hope someone could even relate to it, because I'm sure that there is more, but those were just the 10 that I felt like were common amongst those that, you know, like people that have relocated from one country to another. And I just decided to share, just to spread awareness and just to let people know that not everybody is thinking of ditching you because you're no longer on their level. Like, that's the least of our worries for the most part. Like, people are usually thinking of more stuff to develop themselves and stuff like that. So yes, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Do not forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share the gospel, guys. Don't be stingy. Let people know about this channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, be safe. Bye.